Welcome to the review of Strive for Power. This game is heavy text-based, management sim, with little mix of RPG and turn-based combat. Where our goal is to save the world, make a career in managing a mansion and start a harem of girls. Or boys. Or mixed if you can't decide. The main emphasis in the game is on the freedom of entertainment. At the cost of graphics, music or history. But what makes this production better than 90% of all 18+ games on the Western market, is that it is finished. But let's start from the beginning. First, the interface. If you're a fan of any of the Paradox games, you probably won't be impressed by something like this. But if you are in the part of the population that values their time, well, it will take a while to understand everything, and start using it with minimal effectiveness. This is not my 80 hours with Europa Universalis 4 before I understood the basics. But before you understand which numbers are important and which statistics are displayed in the text, and which with the help of icons, it will take some time. Navigating this interface, even for experienced players, is not fast. But at least it is consistent in style and fits this production. Which cannot always be said in 18+ text-themed games. Speaking of style. Graphic layer. There is very little of it and it is used more to create an atmosphere or quickly define characters. Rather not in the form of the main selling theme. The art layer in the 18+ game must exist, even if it is tiny contribution to the whole. Because it's very difficult to get someone to play this kind of games with a wall of text. But if you have at least one or two pictures that will be used as a poster child of the game. Then, if the mechanics are good, players can stay for longer. I also bet that all backgrounds are rather original, as they differ from those of RPG makers, and that's a plus. As for the main element, that is characters that got their own character designs. Sadly, there are only about a dozen of them. For each there are about 2 or 3 scenes with, so to speak, heavier plot. And rounding up quite a bit in favor of the game anyway. And when it comes to the character designs themselves, they draw slightly in the Japanese style, but they are very dull. Of course, we have characters of various calibers here, but some could be just background characters. What they actually are. Because the stories can be often completed without interacting with the characters prepared by the creators. Where I do not say that the legend of Alexander the Great must be massacred in the same way, as in Au Senki. But you could go a little crazy with the character's dress or design, at least in a few cases. Considering what was available in the game when it comes to lore. Would it be as consistent as what we have now? Maybe not. But it would surely attract more people. The more observant of you will also notice that in the game I have a large number of characters with different models. And even more observant and smarter will understand why. So apart from the characters provided in the story, the rest is randomly generated as we travel the world. Their parameters, statistics, and race differ depending on where we are and what we got on the invisible dice roll. But what is not random is their portraits, which are always stock. And here we are approaching the turning point in the game or the wall. Depends on your answer to a specific question. Which I will ask you for a moment. Of course, designing a system that creates random characters is difficult. It's even more difficult for these characters not to look like abominations from hell. And this is where the community comes to help. Which legally and maintaining all rights to private property acquired many character templates. And made them available in such a way that players could use them. Thanks to that, the creator is not sued immediately, and the players have more choice. And now a question for you, dear viewer. Do you want to play this minigame called, Match the Picture to the Text? If not, the game loses half of its fun immediately. And I'm not joking. I don't know what changes in my brain by adding 2 pictures to the name and surname created by the generator. But suddenly I am starting to care for this character. Of course, you can transfer all files prepared by the community directly to individual folders in seconds. And do not participate in such games. But I don't know why this short period of searching after photos and folders makes my game better. I'm too bad in psychology to name this phenomenon or break it down into prime factors. But here we are. We consider the psychological aspects in 18+ game. And of course, I cannot guarantee that even if you do what I did, that you will enjoy it as much. All I know is that doing nothing with mods is not good option. And taking advantage of your moment of reflection. I will deal with the musical layer. Simple stock sounds with stock music will accompany us throughout the story. At least they fit the atmosphere of the game and harmonize well with the gameplay. And if you appreciate the audio track in 18+ scenes in games. Unfortunately, in this game we have nothing. Null. Nada. Zero. And before we move on to the 18+ mechanics, I will also mention the plot. Unless you choose free mode, then you don't have to worry about it. You will work as an errand boy, to unlock new locations and skills. Suddenly there will be a major bad guy to defeat or join, some betrayals and of course a big battle at the end. This story will be discussed later in summary. It serves more as extensive tutorial for the free mode. And an opportunity to add to our team the characters prepared by the creators. Some of them are still available in free mod, but not all. Just approaching the plot without any expectations, it might be the best idea. But at least it fits in with the traditions of channel. Because world is a bad place and is only one race to blame. Okay, now it's time for the mechanics for adults, as the combat system is very simple. It means it's difficult at first, and then when you understand it, nothing will stop you steamrolling through the game. Alright. Adult action. I will show uncensored action on the screen. If I get banned from YouTube, too bad.
Don't let your kids watch it!
Yeah, that's all. Not counting, of course, the art prepared by the creators. Well, I couldn't hide these mechanics any longer. This is more a mini-game about getting as much mana as possible than anything else. So it's not a mechanic that will probably sell you this game, especially if your imagination is low. Heck, even if your imagination has no limits, then you don't really need those lines of text. Probably some of you are wondering where the so-called good element is in this production. Something that will pull them in. Something that they will want to play. And I answer. These things are freedom and replayability. And of course, these things are difficult to show on the material, especially since they mean something different to everyone. Do you want to recreate the situation that exists in this great work? You can, no hassle, only download pictures for more immersion. Or maybe start all over and play as a total despot? Go ahead, the game provides mechanics and toys. Because you see, this game is largely a sandbox, the toys are here. But if you don't have a plan to have fun, unfortunately, no one will come up with this plan for you. And the creator continues this path in the sequel, which is still being made. More possibilities to play, more complex mechanics. But not necessarily improving elements, such as the artwork or the sound. As for the cons, it's a story for sure. I know, easy my viewers. I did not expect word building on the Tolkien level. And story mode, as an extensive tutorial, does the job. However, I have to mention some more technical and story choices. Namely, when a player has options A and B to choose from, he will of course choose the one that gives him more benefits. And additionally, if the game hides the rewards and force player to guess the choice, then, what will the player do? He will save before choosing. And in reality, from two choices, we only left with one correct. And these moral choices are not on the level of first Mass Effect. And the fact that the player plays the 18+ game is unlikely to experience his character's choice in meaningful way. So you can put all this immersion into a familiar place. Therefore, it is better to show the prizes in the choices at the beginning and let them be even on the scale. Otherwise you are asking players to save scam. At the end of the game things get a little better, but unfortunately only at the end. And I will mention not using the characters to the full potential. I understand we're on a budget when it comes to new art. But you could always add a little story to the existing characters and their side quests, or add new quests after completing the old ones. Even without the commissioning, additional scenes and the content itself would be welcome. And why, you ask? Well, even in games that emphasize the randomness of the gameplay, it is always good to have a few unchanged old friends as characters. And I don't know why. Maybe because our brains always want to grip something in unknown waters. And it has to be something familiar or permanent. Once again, I lack the knowledge of a psychologist on this subject. Plus, they always look better on posters than characters generated randomly. You could also combine the free mode and story mode to make them just one super mode where the story exists, but always in a secondary form. As sometimes happens in free mode. But I guess that's easier said than done. Especially since coding is not a very flexible work. Changing something like this, that was in the game from the beginning. Additionally, in mid-game development, or near the end, rarely pays off. And maybe at the end, a little tip for new players, who will try their luck at this production. I can't help you to get used to the interface. But I can help you start your career in the estate and the city as a new player. In story mode, starting in Wimborne, we visit fun location in the city and complete a quest. And after a few headpats we have another soldier. Her abilities in this field may be questioned, but in the military, number is a number. We buy 2 ropes from the merchant and maybe a dagger if you don't feeling it today. Don't forget to equip everything. We explore out of town. And if we encounter a group of bandits attacking the bystander, this means our chance. That is, we avoid them with a wide curve and go further. And we travel on, until we find an ordinary traveler without help. Then we go into action. Make sure she, or he, doesn't get away. We take our new recruit to the mansion and wait for the Stockholm Syndrome to kick in. And voila, we have a team of 4. Now we can even face bandits. Mainly because there is a greater choice of candidates for future recruits. Even though the undrafted ones also can't celebrate. Hey, it's free mana, I only use the game mechanics. The game can be found for free on the creator's website, or you can help him earn as much as you want. If you like it, you can help him on a Patreon with creating a sequel. With both money and tips. Of course, the wiki in the case of such production will be your friend, and do not forget about mods. And that's it all from me. Big Mike. See you next time.